Ahmed Rehab is the executive director of the Chicago chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations. He's joining us tonight from the Tribune Tower. And Ahmed, good to see you again. How are you?
Very well. It's a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right, so many places to start, but let's begin, of course, with what has been going on with the Khan family. First of all, when you heard Khizr Khan, his wife, there on the stage during the DNC, assuming you heard it or saw it or certainly by now know it, what reaction did you have to what they had to say?
I thought they were right on the money, and I took personal pride in the fact that after many attempts, it took a Muslim family and now Muslim women trending on Twitter to pick apart and expose the charlatan that is Donald Trump. Every time he opens his mouth is an embarrassment to the United States. His only shtick is to attack individuals and communities based on little more than their religion, their race, their ethnic origin, their national origin. He has nothing else to offer America otherwise, and it's really surreal that he's come this far.
Now, this is a guy who does not apologize. He tends to double down. I say these sort of objectively. That's what he does. And, you know, when he was asked by George Stephanopoulos on This Week, he made about this issue, and he made the comment about Mrs. Khan, you know, standing there, didn't say anything, maybe because she's not allowed to, and then he said, you know, people are writing about this. I'm not sure where that came from, but what was your reaction to that notion that because there's a Muslim woman standing on stage, maybe she's not allowed to speak?
It's pathetic, it's ridiculous, and it didn't say much about Mrs. Ghazala Khan, but it said a lot about Donald Trump and his petulance. He responds and retorts like a third grader. He absolutely did not address the issues that were very substantive in that speech. He skirted that and went to attack once again an individual and a community based on their religion, and did so far and free from any facts. She did not speak that evening because she was very sad and very in deep grievance, not because she cannot speak because of her religion. She spoke thereafter very eloquently. Original speech, mind you, nothing that was plagiarized from Michelle Obama. And when Trump's wife isn't plagiarizing, she isn't saying much. She's standing right there by his side very quietly, and there were memes on Twitter and Facebook in many speeches that he spoke at, and that she stood there by his side in support. But he didn't question her religion or her culture at that time. So the double standard is very clear in Mr. Donald Trump's worldview. And like I said earlier, he's just an embarrassment to this country and to all Americans, and it's very scary that he's this close to being president of the United States.
When you add in the fact that this is a Gold Star family and their son was killed at war, it just changes everything. I'm just curious, if that was not a piece of this, if this was just a Muslim family taking the microphone to just speak about that policy of Trump's, when Mr. Khan took out the Constitution, have you even read the Constitution? I will lend you a copy of mine. Just out of curiosity, do you stand by any of it? Because Donald Trump says he was being fiercely attacked. Did you think Mr. Khan was attacking? And I'm trying to remove the death of their son out of that picture.
No, he was actually engaging in the conversation that's a national conversation, and he has every right to as a citizen and as someone who is politically engaged, as we all ought to be. And he was talking about the future of this nation based on its Constitution and the history of that Constitution. And he was saying that he was indeed very concerned, as I am, as everybody else should be, that this man is just trampling on the Constitution and its values and its ideals and coming up with this weird, petulant third grader type attitude that he wants to bring to the presidency. This is a guy who wants to stand on the same platform as Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. I mean, it's just out of this world. So
Ahmed, here's the thing that I want to get your reaction to, which is, let's move off the Khan situation per se and this the general policy. Because, you know, Trump has been talking this way for quite a while, and his policies about banning Muslims, and now it's, well, it depends what country they're from. But Republicans made them their nominee. I'm just curious, doing what you do for a living and having this view, what does this tell you about the way people are thinking? What concern do you have?
Well, we're seeing today many leaders in the GOP and the Republican Party who are coming out in disdain for the fact that Donald Trump has come this far. But when you look at the facts, the GOP and the Republicans have sort of laid the groundwork for someone like him to come along and reap what they have sown for so long. For so long, it's been, despite wonderful people in the Republican Party, both in the leadership and in the supporters on the ground, despite that, the party has allowed itself to become a party of this schematic, or this scheme of hate for votes. They've come after Muslims, they've come after Latinos, they've come after African Americans for so long. You've had the Allen Wests, you've had the Peter King hearings, you've had all of these things that have found a home in the GOP that have festered this sort of fear-mongering and this hate-mongering to a point where someone like Trump can come along and take it all in the direction that he needs to and assume the mantle. They need to take discredit, I won't say credit, for that. They need to take responsibility for that and not wonder as if he came out of nowhere. There's a reason why he's in the GOP at the helm and not in another party. They've laid the groundwork, and now they need to step back and clean shop.
So just briefly, as we move towards Election Day, there is this, attitude that permeates some people's thinking. You're an educational group, among other things. How do you get the message out? How do you have people understand that Muslim Americans are patriotic? They're Americans. They're as patriotic as anybody else.
By going back to the basics, there is no special litmus test for an American citizen who happens to be Muslim that they need to jump through hoops and do a backward dance to prove that they're as American as everybody else. That's to be assumed unless otherwise proven. Every American in this land is a contributing citizen who has the same rights, the same responsibilities. Muslims are part and parcel of that same equation. So we push that reality, that fact. Our lives are not about extremism or terrorism or even responding to it for that matter, but it's about going to work and putting food on the table and paying our taxes and contributing to the economy. We're 1% of the American population and 10% of its doctors. If you wanted stereotypes based on lopsided data, there is one for you. Muslims are doctors, but that stereotype is not the one we're hearing. It's more true to our reality versus the one about terrorism, where over 94% of terrorist acts, according to the FBI, as of the year 2005, were committed by people who are not Muslim.
Yeah, one of my main doctorates is Muslim, so I'm with you on that. Ahmed Rehab, the Executive Director of the Chicago chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations. This isn't going to go away anytime soon, not till November, so please come back. Let's talk more about this.
We're not going away either. We'll be here.
All right, thank you, sir. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, Donald Trump's comments have top Republicans calling on their candidate to just turn things around and fast. We're going to talk to one of those folks when we come back.
Mike Baxter's a man's man in a house full of women. Tim Allen is the last man standing.
Coming this fall to WGN.
For injury law, the choice is simple. Ankin, 312-6 million.
For injury law, the choice is simple.